All right, so this paper consists of a brief overview of my view on the role of the human body in communication. This view is very much informed by the vital fact that mind and body are profoundly interrelated. After a few words on how I conceptualize communication, I will highlight the body as a producer of media products, the body as a media product, and the body as a perceiver of media products. Finally, I will elaborate on the body in the mind perceiving media products. Communication is to be understood as communication among human minds, and media product refers to the intermediate stage that enables the transfer of cognitive import from one or several producers' minds to one or several perceivers' minds. The media product is material, a physical entity or process with the capacity of triggering mental reactions through semiosis. As the transfer of cognitive import involves both material and mental aspects, I find it helpful to distinguish between two profoundly interrelated but nevertheless discernible basic facets of the communicative process: mediation and representation. Mediation is the display of sensory configurations that are perceived by human sense receptors within a communicative situation. It is a pre-semiotic phenomenon and should be understood as the physical realization of entities, entities with material, sensorial, and spatio-temporal qualities, and semiotic potential. For instance, one might hear some sound. Representation is a semiotic phenomenon and should be understood as the heart of signification, which is here delimited to how humans create cognitive import in communication. When a human agent forms sense of the mediated sensory configurations, sign functions are activated and representation is at work. For instance, one may interpret the heard sound as a voice uttering meaningful words. All communication thus starts with a producer's mind situated in a body that somehow creates a media product, the intermediate entity that makes communication among minds possible. The act of producing a media product is always initiated by the producer's mind and always, to begin with, effectuated by the producer's body. Sometimes this primary bodily act immediately results in a media product. For instance, when one person begins talking to another person who is standing beside her. The speech emanating from the voice cords constitute a possible media product that reaches the perceiver directly. At other times, the primary bodily act is linked to subsequent stages of production, and it is not unusual for the primary bodily act to be connected to a broad range of actions and procedures before a media product comes to be present for a perceiver. For instance, talking through a telephone often requires manual handling of the telephone in addition to the activation of the user's vocal cords, and always requires constructed technological devices that are suitable to transmit the initial speech to another place in which the actual media product is constituted. That is, the speech that can be heard and understood by the perceiver. Similarly, a child drawing a picture for her father who is sitting at the same kitchen table only has to perform, in principle at least, one primarily bodily act in order to create a media product that is immediately available for the perceiver. However, if the father is at another place, additional stages of actions and procedures must be supplemented. The drawing may be posted and physically relocated, or scanned and emailed, after which it appears in a slightly transformed way as a media product that is mediated by a computer screen. The act of production may thus be simple and direct, as well as complex and indirect. It may furthermore include stages of storage, where either the body itself, including the brain, or external tools may function as storage devices. Media products are necessarily material in some way, meaning that they are physical entities or processes. Otherwise, they would not be able to connect minds. Media products require what I call technical media of distribution to be realized. These may consist of either non-bodily or bodily matter, including matter emanating directly from a body, or a combination of these. This means that the producer's mind may, for instance, use either non-bodily matter, say the paper of a written letter, or her own body and its immediate extensions, forming speech and gestures to realize media products. Furthermore, the perceiver's body may be used to mediate media products. For instance, the producer may realize a painting on the perceiver's skin or push her gently to communicate the desire that she moves a bit. In contrast to influential scholars such as Marshall McLuhan, who conceptualize media as the extension of man, in general, I thus define media products as extensions of mind in the context of interhuman communication. Some technical media of distribution, such as audio systems, are well fitted for being reused very many times. This is also the case for technical mediums such as a television set, which actually consists of two kinds of technical media: a flat screen that emits photons and loudspeakers that set the air into pulsation. A TV may realize several different media products, many television programs simply. As a human body may also realize several different media products, it may be conceptualized in a similar fashion, actually. When it is moved in certain ways and in certain circumstances, it mediates gestures. When it is moved in other ways, in more intimate situations, it mediates caresses. When it produces sound with the aid of its vocal cords, it mediates, for instance, speech or song. Technical media of distribution are thus physical substances, devices, or phenomena that make it possible for media products to be physically manifest. They clearly exist in very diverse forms. Media products may be realized by either non-bodily or bodily matter. In other words, there are external technical media, non-bodily materialities such as clay, screens, ink on paper, sound waves from loudspeakers, or just about anything chosen from the surroundings. And there are internal technical media, bodies, parts of bodies, or physical phenomena emanating directly from bodies, such as voice. I have argued that human communication is about putting minds in connection with each other through material media products. This is obviously possible because the perceiver's mind gets in contact with media products through sensory perception, which is very much a corporeal phenomenon. Exteroceptors register changes in the external environment. Interoceptors are sensible to the internal conditions of the body. And proprioceptors give us information regarding the body's position and posture in space, balance, and so forth. Our so-called five senses are thus actually, to be more precise, the five sense organs that register changes in the external environment. Eyes, ears, olfactory organs, gustatory organ, and skin. These sense organs do not, however, simply consist of 5 different kinds of receptors. Both the olfactory and gustatory organs consist of chemoreceptors, and the skin consists of both mechanoreceptors and thermoreceptors. Moreover, the sense organs do not work in isolation. Strong sound, for instance, can both be heard and felt by the whole body. Media products are additionally very often sensorially multimodal, as you all know. Human communication is thus made possible through the perception of media products, mainly but not exclusively through the external senses. The process ranging from reception of sensory stimuli to conscious or unconscious perception, however, is indeed very complex. Somewhere along the line, the biological processes become mental. Mediation is supplemented by representation, as the media product obtains significance. The perceived sensory configurations acquire cognitive qualities. When bodies or non-bodily entities or processes have the function of media products, they act as signs. In Charles Sanders Peirce's terminology, representaments. They not only mediate sensory configurations, but also trigger representation through these sensory configurations. However, bodies may also be the objects of signification. They may be represented. Communication obviously involves the representation of bodies and other concrete objects. This can be achieved in very many different ways. Whereas bodies are living, organic entities existing in 3-dimensional space and time, they may be represented by all kinds of media products with various material, spatiotemporal, and sensorial features. A static stone sculpture may represent the body. A flat, non-temporal painting may represent the body. A sequence of film may represent the body. And indeed, an actor, being herself a living organic entity in 3-dimensional space and time, may represent a body, like the body of Kate Blanchett representing the body of Queen Elizabeth. These are all examples of visual icons, signs based on similarity perceived by vision. However, we may perceive similarity also through our other external senses. Bodies may be represented by auditory icons, such as musical sounds resembling patterns of human voiced intonations or bodily movement. Likewise, bodies may be represented by tactile icons of all sorts, where qualities such as shape, texture, temperature, and movement resemble corresponding qualities of the human body. Furthermore, to continue with the other sign types in Peirce's famous trichotomy, bodies may be represented by indexes or indices based on real connections, and symbols based on habits, having all sorts of material, spatiotemporal, and sensorial qualities. A few elementary examples here will have to suffice. So initials carved into the bark of a tree may function as indices for the former presence of a body. And the sound of desperate voices and knockings from the other side of a door are likely to be indices for locked up bodies wanting to get out. A visual or auditory word such as body, corps, is a symbolic sign for bodies because of our habitual associations between the visual or auditory sensory configurations and the notion that they stand for. Apart from representing bodies and other concrete objects, media products may also represent more abstract entities, such as concepts, ideas, intentions, and relations. Yet also abstract mental notions like these are to a large extent rooted in the experience of being a body interacting with the surrounding world. The perceiver of media products has profound lived knowledge of corporeality, which constitutes the ground of her conceptual knowledge. The experience of being a body, navigating within and interacting with the material world is so acute, it has been argued, that many abstract concepts must be understood as derivations from concrete sensory perceptions. Furthermore, many represented notions transgress the crude material mental division. These include, for instance, spatiotemporal relations that are vital for all living organisms trying to survive through perception and understanding of the surrounding world. Distances, positions, interrelations, proportions, balance, structures, contrasts, and so forth. So just one example is the notion of progress. While it is clear that this notion is based on experiences of physical movement in a certain direction, the notion is abstracted and can be applied to a very wide mental field of endeavors. In the book The Body and the Mind, Mark Johnson vigorously argues that bodily experience and imagination form the basis of meaning. However, imagination must not be understood as merely creative fancy. Rather, it is, quote, our capacity to organize mental representations, especially percepts, images, and image schemata, into meaningful, coherent unities, end quote. The notion of spatiality is not central for Johnson, but it is clear that his main concepts for explaining how bodily experience forms the mind framework, at what he calls non-propositional schematic structures or image schematic structures of meaning. That they, to a large extent, deal with the body's experience of space. Johnson has famously demonstrated that our minds are embodied, and his notion of image schemes, understood as preconceptual gestalt structures that are formed by bodily experiences and various sorts of perception, can be seen as capturing mental links that connect related cognitive domains through similarity. In other words, they constitute the mentally stylized common denominators that make resemblance between associated domains perceptible through abstraction. Now, if image schemas are links between various embodied cognitive domains, they must consequently, I argue, also work as junctions between embodied cognitive domains and percepts. Accordingly, image schemes must also form links between different sensory modes and between different spatiotemporal and material modes. In fact, this function of image schemes must be understood as part and parcel of the whole idea that they are preconceptual gestalt structures derived from perceptions of the environment and experiences of being a body in the world. Image schemes are, and again quote, recurring structures of or in our perceptual interactions, bodily experiences, and cognitive operations, end quote. In this, the whole body and perceptions of all of the senses must be included, I think. There is much research in cognitive science, psychology, and related areas that substantiate these ideas, by the way. So, to summarize then, the corporeal appears to be present at every vital stage and level of human communication. The producer's body is crucial for the realization of media products. Bodies and their immediate extensions often constitute the actual media products. The receptors of the perceiver's body link the media products to the perceiver's mind. The media product often represent bodies through various forms of signification. Finally, even when the media product represent more abstract entities and phenomena, the experience of corporeality is hidden under the surface of seemingly immaterial concepts and thought structures. Thank you.